If I could have your attention, please. We are. If I could have your attention, please. Just a brief announcement. All of our input sessions are broadcast on the internet, and so at this time, because there's no Wi-Fi in this particular hearing room, then we're trying to get a hardwire connection to the internet. So it'll be just a few minutes before we proceed. So I just wanted to let you know that we will proceed shortly. Thank you very much. That's a podium off and on. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Even though we don't have a live connection, we are recording all of your input, so it will be posted later in full. But because in the interest of time, and some of you came long distances to be here with us this afternoon, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So my name is Gabino Aguirre. I am presently the chair of the commission. We have a rotating leadership format, so I have been chair for this round. We're in San Luis Obispo, Bakersfield, last night in Hanford, and then today, and thank you, Merced. And then next week, the week after next, this gentleman, Vince Baraba, who's our vice chair, will be taking over. So, of course, this is all about Proposition 11, and Prop 11, essentially to me, the spirit of that proposition is that we as citizens, selected from a large pool of applicants, we as citizens are representing you, so in a sense, we are you and you are us. We are here to receive testimony and information related to the drawing of district maps, and we have a tight timeline to get that done. So we're traveling all over California to accomplish that. So we want to thank the County of Merced for providing this auditorium to us. I understand that we have two supervisors here that I would like to acknowledge, and perhaps they could say a few words, and that would be District 2 Supervisor Hubert Walsh, Jr., and then there's Lynn Davis, also supervisor, I think is here. So, Mr. Walsh, would you like to say a few words, or Ms. Davis? Yes.
Sitting back there for a little bit and getting a different perspective of what this room looks like from the back. So, but I appreciate you taking the time, and welcome to Merced County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Is Ms. Davis available? Oh, Mr. Davis? Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry.
It sure feels different being on this side of the room, let me tell you. I'm not dressed for the occasion. I came here to learn and to experience what it's like to have this committee here in our area and to do something that we haven't done in years in this format in the state of California. Welcome to Merced County. And thank you for being here to listen to our concerns about redistricting the state of California. I'd also like to take the opportunity, we do have our county administrative officer with us, Larry Combs,
yes,
in the back, so I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce him also.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you for being here, and I know that I was going to stay home and watch it on the website, but not being able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, I would like to ask our commissioners to present themselves, perhaps on my left.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Yao. I reside about 30 miles east of Los Angeles. I was an engineer until before my retirement in 2005, and I'm very honored to be on this commission and very glad that I'm here with you today. Thanks for showing up and talking to us.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andre Parvenu. I reside in Culver City, California, and I work with the City of Los Angeles as an urban planner and zoning analyst. And likewise, I'm very pleased to be here today.
Good afternoon. My name is Jean Raya. I live in the city of San Gabriel, which is just east of downtown Los Angeles. I am a small business owner, an insurance broker, and I live in the same community where I work. And I've never really seen a lot of Merced, but when we got off the freeway and drove through town a little and saw the car show, as much as I'm happy to be here and listen to you, it looked like a lot of fun things were going on downtown, so I'll definitely come back.
Good afternoon. I'm Connie Galambos-Malloy. I'm here visiting from Oakland, California. I'm also an urban planner specializing in environmental issues and have two very dear friends in Merced, one of whom actually works in this building, another who used to work in this building and is now at the UC Merced campus. So it was a good excuse to come and bring the family, enjoy the sunshine. So really a pleasure to be here for multiple reasons. Thanks for having us.
My name is Vince Baraba. I live over the hill in Santa Cruz County in the village of Capitola. Probably seen some of you on a nice hot day in the valley that came over for the cool air. I am retired, but at one point I was the director of the United States Census Bureau, and I'm eagerly looking forward to use this census to see if we can come up with some districts we can all be proud of.
Thank you. And I live in the city of Los Angeles, but before that I lived for 30 years in the Bay Area. I work at a charitable foundation in Los Angeles, the California Community Foundation, where I'm the vice president of civic engagement. And luckily, because that's my title, they really can't say much about the fact that I'm taking a lot of time off to do this important job, because I am in charge of civic engagement. And thank you for having us here.
I am Jody Filkins-Weber. I presently reside in Norco, California, which is Horsetown, USA. It's located in Riverside County, just south of Ontario and west of Riverside. I'm a practicing attorney. I practice in Orange County, but travel to courts throughout Southern California. And this is the first opportunity I've had to be this far north in Merced. So I thank you very much for inviting us here, and I look forward to hearing from you today. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle DiGiulio. I'm from Stockton and San Joaquin County, just up the road. And I have family that goes back in as farmers in San Joaquin County to the 1850s, so it's familiar to territory down here in Merced as well. And prior, I worked at the Great Valley Center, and the San Joaquin Valley was my area to cover. Right now, with 4 young children, I'm a stay-at-home mother. And I just received a call from my 6- and 8-year-old. Apparently, Dad is giving them a little extra wee time, so they had to call to tell me they made it to level 7. So I think when I get home, I'll have to readjust that schedule. But it's very good to be here.
Good afternoon. My name is Angelo Anchetta. I am from San Francisco. I teach at the law school at Santa Clara University, which is a university outside the San Jose area. I think it's been about 4 or 5 years since I've been to Merced. I think right before the campus was sort of starting to be developed. So it's really interesting to see a lot of the changes that are going on in your community. So I'm very happy to be here.
My name is Stan Forbes. I'm a Yolo County farmer. I also own an independent bookstore in Sacramento. I'm very glad to be here. I've been through Merced a number of times on the way to the high country.
And last, my name is Cynthia Dye. I'm from the City and County of San Francisco. By day, I'm a management consultant. I'm also a sometime educator at UC Berkeley. I've been through Merced a number of times, also on the way to outdoors activities, so I'm glad to be here today.
Yeah, and once again, my name is Gabino Aguirre. I am from Ventura County, Santa Paula, California. I am a retired educator, having been a high school principal and elementary administrator as well, an elected official in the city of Santa Paula, and we certainly want to thank all of you for joining us here today. As you see, I think that we present a pretty good reflection of what California is all about. So I would like to present our staff, Daniel Claypool, our executive director in the back, and Lon Leash standing right next to him, another member of our staff, and up here in front of us, Janice Sargis. So you should have picked up a guide in the back, which includes information, contains information about the process, how it works, you know, about information about ourselves, some information on some important websites that you can refer to as you hopefully join us as we move forward with this process. I'll also mention that there is a nonpartisan requirement of Proposition 11, which essentially means that we are not to draw and should not draw districts that are in any way discriminates against or advocates for a particular candidate or district in such a way that it benefits them or their party in any way. So ultimately, it is about the people of California. So we are going to, I'm going to run through the procedures for the hearing itself. I'll do it quickly. If you have any questions, you can ask for clarification. For those of you that are speaking today, you should have picked up a number in the front desk. And so I will be calling you by number. So it would be good in these chairs that we've left open in the front row. It would be good for the next and second next, so to speak, speaker to queue up so that we don't have to wait for individuals to walk all the way over here. In the interest of efficiency and time, you will have 3 minutes to present information on your testimony, and then if there's questions from the commission, then we will be asking those questions. Essentially, our experience has been that we've received lots of social economic kind of community type information. We've also received some graphical and map and very descriptive information. So if we ask you questions so we can kind of dig into the information that you're providing us, it's not a test. It's just that we want more specific information. Ultimately, the work of this commission is to engage with you as a public and to draw information that will inform the drawing of lines that will result in district maps for the congressional districts. There's 53 for 80 assembly districts in California, for 40 Senate districts here in California, and for 4 Board of Equalization districts. So if we have time after we go through the speakers, then we will have some additional comments from those of you that are interested. I might also mention that because we're, so to speak, touring California region by region, having been in San Luis Obispo, then to Bakersfield, then to Hanford, then here, then at the end of the input session, we're going to have a region work wrap-up where our consultants, Q2, that are our line drawers, consultants, they will kind of provide information of what they see as the critical information that we've gathered in this region, and you're certainly invited to stay for that and to perhaps be part of that discussion as well. So that will happen at the end of our input session. So if you have materials for us, we would ask you that you submit these to Janice. If you have individual copies for us, then she will pass them out. If you have some materials that you just want to enter into the record, then she will collect those. You can also, this isn't a one-shot deal in terms of input. You also, as all Californians, have the opportunity to continue to submit your input online, by fax, or by mail. So in your guide, the relevant fax numbers, addresses, and websites are on there. So we are being recorded live. I understand that we are now live, so we want to welcome the public to this input session. We had a little technical glitch, which I guess we have fixed already. So being live means that not only can individuals here in this region, Merced and surrounding region, have access to this discussion and presentation, but actually it's being broadcast on the net worldwide. So this is a very important process that we've gone through, that we're going through. And it really is a sincere effort to engage the public in this discussion so that you can have the best representation possible. So how are we going to draw these district lines? The law specifies certain criteria, order of criteria that we will be following. First of all, we need to draw districts that are equal in population. Some relevant numbers in this regard would be for congressional districts, that number should be 702,905. The allowed deviation in numbers per congressional district is 1 individual. For assembly districts, the relevant number is 465,674 with an allowed deviation of 5%. Senate districts, roughly twice that number, a population 931,349, again a deviation of 5%, and for the Board of Equalization districts, 9,313,489 with a deviation of 5%. So besides the fact that we have to divide those numbers, the districts buy to jive with those numbers, then the reason that we bring those up is because we have gone to other areas where the testimony has been. We want to have our county be an assembly district, and generally, our understanding is that if that county has roughly 465,674 individuals, then we can probably talk about that. But if that county has 35,000 individuals, then it's not going to happen. The law does not allow us to do that. So once again, the first criteria on drawing the lines is equal populations. The second criteria is compliance with the Voter Rights Act. The third criteria is contiguity. That means all points on the district are touching. The fourth criteria is compactness. One of the observations that is continually made is of these long, elongated, kind of zigzag districts that exist all over California. Well, not only does it present a problem for representatives, electeds, that are representing this area, given the long distance, but it also really hinders the ability of local residents to access their representatives. So the fourth criteria is compactness, as close to this as possible. Then the fifth criteria is to provide for nesting wherever possible. Nesting meaning putting some districts within the others. So for a Senate district, we could nest 2 assembly districts. For a Board of Equalization, we could nest 10 Senate districts. So we're looking at that and trying to follow that and do that as much as possible. The sixth criteria is to respect jurisdictional boundaries of counties and cities. So we're not here to divide cities, divide counties. However, given the numbers that we must comply with in criteria number 1, then that might have to happen in some way. So one of the questions that we will be asking you as you present your information perhaps would be, if we had to draw a line, what would be the best case scenario in your area, in your opinion? So just a reminder that that's kind of the data, the information that we will need for eventual consideration. Also, the seventh criteria is community of interest. Typically social economic characteristics. So if you're representing a particular community of interest, then we would ask you to state the name of that community of interest and some kind of location bordered by the Sierras, the Coast Range on the west, it's a river on the north, whatever that is, a railroad on whatever that is, then we want you to kind of give us an idea of what boundaries, what borders that community of interest has. As you can see, we are projecting maps on the wall. As you talk about a particular area, in this case, maybe southeastern Merced, we will be able to look at what southeastern Merced looks like. So as we ask you for clarification of what the boundaries of that particular area you're referring to, then we will be able to zoom into that area so that we as commissioners will be clear on the area that you're talking about. And of course, the audience is also clear on what you're referring to as well. So beyond communities of interest, if you want to talk about a particular neighborhood, like last night in Hanford, there was talk about the neighborhood areas that contains Laotians and Hmongs, and what the particular needs of those communities is. And so what we talked about then was, give us what the borders of that neighborhood are. All right. Again, just a reminder about the wrap-up session at the end. And unless there are any questions from the audience or any questions or comments from the commission, we will get started. Any questions? Thank you very much. Okay, so we're gonna begin the input session, and once again, thank you for joining us. Let's have number one come up to the podium. You will have 3 minutes, and maybe we can have number 2, 3, and 4 queue up there on the front row. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Gurinder Grewal. I'm a physician, and I live in San Joaquin County. I live in Tracy. And my group has 5 offices. We have in Lodi, Stockton, Tracy, Manteca, and currently our congressional district is all bunched up. Where the main office is, where the main hospital, St. Joseph is in 18th district, and we are the rest are in 11th district. Whenever we have issues, we can't be represented by one person who understands our interest. And I think we have a big enough community in San Joaquin County. We will appreciate if that can be brought back like it used to be. I'm glad that we have a representative from our area who can explain also. The second interest I have, I'm also a farmer. And 11th district, most of the people in 11th district don't seem to have any common need and interest with the Morgan Hall people. They think differently, their needs are differently, so we really lost representation, which is very important to the farmers. So my request is that we get back our district, mainly around the San Joaquin County, which I don't know exact numbers, but I think seems big enough to accomplish what you were talking before. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Julio.
I'd like to take a chance just to ask you. I asked this question last night when this issue came up with San Joaquin County. The number for the population for the county is 685,306. So about 685,000. It is close to congressional district being 702,000. So I think your idea of keeping the county whole. But I would like to see if you could expand a little bit in terms of it would have to be. If you try to keep it whole, you'd have to have at least 2 assembly, and you'd have to put a line somewhere, as well as Senate. You would have to find more population because that's 931,000. So, have you given any consideration to if you have to split you're going to have to split the county for an assembly? If you kept it whole, you'd have to split somewhere. If you have some ideas for that, and then for the Senate, you'd have to add population. Do you see yourself going east or west, north or south to add? And then in respect to the county, where would you split for assembly? Do you have any ideas about that?
I have not studied, but from living there, I know the Galt at one time used to be part of our area, and I don't know if that's big enough population to correct that, or a lot of the east of Stockton people used to be in our district. So I think those people have more in common with us. They use the same facilities we do compared to going over the hill on the other side.
And can you explain for us the other side being, are you talking over the Altamont going west?
Altamont, yeah.
So you have more in common with
We're more
common
in the valley than...
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. For the future speakers, if we don't expect you to have perfect answers to our questions. This is not a test. It's just a way of trying to clarify information so that we can capture that information more fully. But if any speakers that are in the audience have some information related to that question, perhaps when your number comes up, you could say, related to that question that was asked earlier, let me offer this information. Okay? All right. Let me just also mention that you see 12 commissioners before you. There are 2 others that are missing, Commissioner Ontai and Commissioner Ward, who I understand are watching us live. And all right, speaker number 2.
Good afternoon. My name is Francisco Samaniego. I reside in northeast of Stockton. My interest here is to keep Stockton and San Joaquin County one, as a district. I came here today to ask you that, and I guess we are in unison regarding the purpose, because you mentioned that to ensure district lines are drawn to keep your community whole and grouped with nearby communities with similar interests. That's your purpose, and that's mine too. So currently I live in Assembly District 26, that is northeast of Stockton. If I drove 1 mile southwest, I would be in Assembly District 17. If I keep going, I kept going 3 miles, I'd be in Assembly District number 10. And if I drove 3 miles more, I'd be in Assembly District 15. So driving 7 miles, I'd be in 4 districts. And to me, that's crazy. Also, I live in Senate District number 5, represented by Senator Louis Walk. If I drove 1 mile east on Morada Lane, I'd be in Senate District number 14. So 2 districts, just driving 1 mile east. Regarding congressional district, I'm in 11th district. If I drove 1/2 mile west on Morada Lane, then made a left turn, which is going south, I'd be in the 18th district. So the current districts, as you can see, divide the whole of Stockton and the neighborhoods, even the neighborhood where I live. And I have maps to illustrate my point. Stockton needs to be represented strongly. And that's by being 1 district, San Joaquin County even. Although I live in Stockton, my wife and I work in Lodi Memorial Hospital, which is in Lodi. So we have interest in Lodi area too. So Manteca, Lodi, Lathrop, Galt, Elk Grove, that area, it's like we have the demographics there. We have clients there that go to the hospital, which is Lodi Memorial Hospital. So we need you to consider seriously keeping Stockton and San Joaquin County as a whole, as a unit. Thank you.
Any questions? Let me ask you the question that was just posed before, which is, if we had to draw some lines to accommodate population numbers, I understand that there's all kinds of lines right now. Yes. Certainly we don't want to see that much division. So if we had to draw some lines, let's say with the assembly districts, if we had to separate Stockton itself somehow, or the county, where would be the best line, the best division?
Well, for me, for the assembly district, I would rather have Stockton as, in 1 assembly district. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
If that could be done, maybe add more communities, to be able to reach that threshold of population that you would require.
Yeah, if you could include some communities that are surrounding you, which do you think would be
that
the
would
best
be
one?
Lodi.
Lodi? Okay.
Lodi and Manteca and Galt.
Okay.
So can I follow up on that? The question of, so you see going north into Sacramento County, and Galt has more, you would think that Galt has more in common with San Joaquin County?
Yes.
Okay. And you even mentioned Elk Grove. Do you consider Elk Grove? Do you think Elk Grove?
No, not really, not much. But we do have referrals from the hospital over there. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Samaniego.
Thank you.
Yes. Number 3, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Virginia Flores Martinez, and I have lived in Stockton for 50 years. I currently live in what is known as the Stockton Finger. That part of our city that was gerrymandered in the 18th Congressional District. I'm here today to ask you to keep Stockton and all of San Joaquin County together when you draw congressional lines and state Senate and state Assembly. Stockton, Lodi, and all of San Joaquin County have too much in common to be divided into multiple districts. I worked for 17 years in a large medical group, and we had offices in Stockton and in Lodi and Manteca and even Galt. Therefore, I would like to focus my remarks on the health community in San Joaquin County. The hospitals are linked in terms of emergency services, and at that time, historically, the Stockton Fire Department handled all the emergency ambulance dispatching in San Joaquin County. That task is now handled by a single private company. In particular, I want to tell you how our communities in San Joaquin County share hospitals and how those hospitals offer services that complement each other. St. Joseph's is a regional cancer society, cardiac center, and neurosurgery center. Residents of Lodi, Tracy, and Manteca and Stockton all rely on Stockton for these services. There are neonatal intensive care units at St. Joseph's, Dameron, and San Joaquin General, but not in Lodi Memorial Hospital. So Lodi residents rely on Stockton hospitals for those services. Unfortunately, the current districts divide these communities that should be united. I would like to submit two maps showing the districts and also where our hospitals are to the Commission for their review when they take this into consideration. Because Stockton and Lodi and the communities in San Joaquin County share common interests, including the use of the same hospitals, I respectfully ask that you keep San Joaquin County whole when you draw districts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Tyler Sinclair. I currently live in Murata, California, which is just east of Stockton, right across from Highway 99, which is in the 11th District. I also work in Lathrop, California, which is also in the 11th District. To get there, I have to travel through Stockton, Highway 99, and then through Highway 4, and then down Highway 5. As she mentioned earlier, I have to travel through the Stockton Finger, so I'm going from the 11th to the 18th District, which doesn't really make sense to me. I figured if I'm working 15 minutes away, I would be commuting in the same district the whole time. And can you pull up the 11th District, please? To show. Right, the congressional district. And to avoid this in the future, I just think we should keep Stockton as a whole, as we've already reiterated. And also to keep the county whole, Stockton, Manteca, Tracy, Lathrop, where I work, and Lodi. All these cities share common ties. We're mainly agricultural based. We have schools that play each other. We have high school athletic conferences that intersect with congressional lines. I have a map. Manteca Unified. Here. That intersects with the congressional district lines. If you can take a look at that. I figured we should keep those boundaries or borders the same, so schools, you know, if they have problems, they can come to the same representative. Also, my father works at O'Connor Woods, a retirement community in Stockton, and he works in the 11th District, and St. Joseph Hospital that runs O'Connor Woods or keeps it going is in the 18th District, and I've heard numerous times from him that there have been several problems because they're in different boundaries. All right, thank you.
All right. Any questions of Tyler? Yes, Mr. Julio.
And I think that we're getting some really good insight into what's been going on in Stockton and in San Joaquin County. And that's really helpful, especially as we get down to the nitty-gritty when we're doing the boundaries of the lines. I'm just wondering if I could throw this out to you as well as anyone else who may be here. I think, again, as we mentioned, the congressional could the population fits a congressional, the population could fit into a Senate. I think we have some idea of where you'd like to expand to pick up the extra 200, 300,000. I think the issue for San Joaquin County, those who may be here, is the assembly, you have enough for one. If you follow the model of keep the county whole, if that model is followed, you have enough for one assembly plus maybe, I'm not a mathematician, maybe 25% more of your population for another. So San Joaquin County needs to make a decision as to where a line would go. And so I don't know if you would like to make that, in addition to your other rich comments, is to maybe take on that challenge of saying any suggestions for where maybe about 120,000 people are going to have to go to another assembly district under a model of keeping the county whole. So anyone like to take a stab at that at some point? I think that would help the commission later on a lot. Otherwise, we would be left with making those decisions without input.
Well, I think people following me would be better qualified for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Okay, speaker number 5.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ivan Chikchon. I'm a student at the Arthur A. Dugoni School of Dentistry in San Francisco, where I'm the legislative liaison. I'm here today, again, to ask you to keep San Joaquin County together as a whole. I'm actually originally from Murata, which is on the northern edge of Stockton. And from my experience, I see that the cities in San Joaquin County have a lot in common, and it doesn't make much sense to split them up into different districts. I'd like to give you a couple examples of how Stockton, Lodi, Tracy, and some other cities have interconnections. When I was growing up in Murata, I went to a high school on El Dorado Street called St. Mary's. And it was really close to my house in Murata, but it was in a completely different state Senate district. It wasn't the same congressional district. However, if you're going to drive from my house to my high school, you're going to drive out of the 11th district into the 18th district, out of the 18th district, and back into the 11th. When I actually decided to transfer out of the private high school into a public high school in Lodi. After graduating, I went to University of the Pacific, which is right next to St. Mary's, but it's also in a different Senate district. University of the Pacific is a really strong asset to our community. It holds a lot of different events, such as health fairs. It has free sporting clinics. It supports innovation in our community through different entrepreneurial funds. And I feel that our whole city should be part of the same district as that university. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a dental student at the Arthur A. Dugoni School of Dentistry, and it's a branch of the University of the Pacific. When I graduate, I plan on coming back to San Joaquin County and working with my parents. They have offices in Stockton and Tracy. I'm also an active member of the San Joaquin Dental Society, which is a professional association of aspiring dentists as well as dentists. I also volunteer at a place called St. Mary's Interfaith Community Services. It's a place downtown that it serves the needs of the poor and uninsured. And now, while it does serve all of Stockton, it actually is in a different district than it's in the 18th district, part of the Stockton finger that the previous speakers were talking about. I feel that this divide unnecessarily separates St. Mary's and other downtown organizations from the rest of our community. So, in conclusion, I ask that you respect the common interests of our community and our connections within those cities. And please keep our county together in this redistricting cycle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you for your testimony.
The same question as the other speakers, or?
I'd like to expand on it. I think we would welcome that.
I agree with the first speaker that towards the east would be better than towards the west, and also Galt would be a more, and we'd have more in common with that area. Thanks.
Speaker number 6.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for taking time on a beautiful Saturday to be in here and listening to our comments. I'm sure you had an enjoyable evening last night down in Hanford. I am here to speak on the theme so far of San Joaquin County. And even though we're in Merced County, some residents in San Joaquin County live in an assembly district with Merced residents. And living in that same house, you can also be in a Senate district where it loops up around Merced and excludes them. And from the questions that have been asked, you're wanting to know a little more specifically where to draw a line, as the county has to be split for Senate districts and for assembly districts. And I'm not here to give you a line. We will be submitting some maps. My name is Mark Robinson. If you forgot from last night, probably did with the hundreds of people you've talked to. But I'm representing a number of groups from San Joaquin County, including Community Partnership for Families, the Business Council, and San Joaquin A+. And those groups, along with some others, as I mentioned, will be submitting some maps. But in a larger picture, let me give you an idea about how to make those lines and those splits, and that is dealing with media. To have effective representation, an elected official needs to be able to communicate with the constituents and vice versa. The constituents need to be able to communicate with the elected official. And the print media and the broadcast media for Stockton and San Joaquin County and the other cities in San Joaquin County runs north and south. Most of the television, local news is going to come out of Sacramento. The print media, the Record and Lodi and Tracy and Manteca each have their newspapers, are local. The Contra Costa Times, the Oakland and San Francisco newspapers don't have very broad distribution in San Joaquin County, and even if they do, they don't carry local stories. So for purposes of media and effective representation and a constituent communicating with an elected representative, to have the boundaries be more north and south rather than running over the Altamont, as has been mentioned before, would be helpful in drawing the Senate and Assembly districts. The other point I wanted to make was just with respect to general services. Because of the population and the geography, as I mentioned last night, services are done on a county-wide basis, and trash pickup and other things. And so keeping it together, as you've already indicated, you have an inclination to do, and we appreciate that because that's what you've been asked to do. Commissioner DiGiulio, it's 47% of San Joaquin County will need to be in a separate assembly district. So we will have to join with Sacramento County or Stanislaus County, perhaps a few residents from Amador and Calaveras County on the east side to form a compact and contiguous district. And we appreciate your willingness and efforts to keep and respect county and city boundaries. Thank you.
Do you, if I could ask the question regarding Sacramento and Stanislaus, do you have any preference for either, or?
I don't think it's a preference of one over the other as much as keeping it compact.
Yeah.
Clearly, people in southern Sacramento County are more of a community interest with San Joaquin County than going up farther into Sacramento County, and the same on the reverse side with Stanislaus County.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, can I ask just one question?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson, if you had to make a demarcation in the Sacramento County, what would that cutoff be? We've heard Galt maybe it would identify with Southern, but what would be the cutoff in Sacramento County?
I don't know a particular road. There's a lot of farms and vineyards out in that area. It's sparsely populated. It probably comes down to a number where the line needs to go up to pull enough in without severely impacting Sacramento County. I think one of the points to be made is we're not asking to keep us whole and chop everybody else up. That doesn't have to be. I think there's a fair balance of part of San Joaquin County is going to need to go with some adjacent districts and the adjacent counties as well. So I don't know exactly where that line needs to be, but certainly the farther north you move, you're moving closer to people who identify more closely with Sacramento County and the city of Sacramento. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robinson. Number 7, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Colin Hunter. I'm actually a law student at Berkeley, but I have a lot of friends in San Joaquin County, and you've heard from some of them today. Some of them couldn't be here, unfortunately. I think because the meeting was moved from Stockton down to Merced, they for family reasons and other reasons, were unable to make the trip. So hopefully you'll be hearing from them in another setting. I want to briefly summarize what some of my friends have said today, and also maybe give you some thoughts as to where you might be able to draw these lines in a way that respects the communities of interest they've pointed out. I think some of the communities of interest you've heard about today are neighborhoods like Murata, school districts, hospital service areas, agricultural communities, even transportation corridors. And I think we can debate where to draw the lines for assembly districts, but one thing we can say is that they shouldn't be drawn in the way they're drawn now, in a way that completely disregards school district boundaries, hospital service areas, neighborhoods, transportation corridors, and on and on. So I think the main point to take away is to keep Stockton whole, to keep it contiguous, and to keep it in a district that includes as much of San Joaquin County as possible. 2 points that I want to bring out really quickly, just because speakers were unable to make it here today. The first is about school districts. We've got up here a map, although it's, I guess, hard to see. I also handed in a print copy of the school districts in San Joaquin County. And you'll see that actually Galt Joint Union comes down into San Joaquin County, so that's one point to take into consideration. But if we can move to the second map, I think something that you ought to take into consideration is the fact that the current congressional districts really cut right through the heart of several school districts. So if you can see there, the big blue shape on the outside, shape is maybe a charitable way of describing it, that's the 11th district. And underneath it are the school districts that include Manteca, Stockton, and Lodi. And you can see that the congressional district lines cut right through the middle of especially Stockton Unified and Manteca Unified. But they also go up and cut through Lodi Unified. And the same is true of state senate and assembly districts. So that's the first task, I think, for the commission, is to draw lines that do away with this kind of arbitrary division. There's also a point